Yeah, so look, Lone Sailor came out of the Kentucky Derby in good shape. He's physically sound. The things you're looking for in deciding whether to run back quickly, and of course the Preakness is 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby, are how is his weight, how is his appetite, and how is his energy on the racetrack. All those three things get a check in the box. He's doing well. We're looking forward to running.
You just talk about taking on Justify again, and not just for Lone Sailor, but anybody. How do you turn the tables?
So I got great respect for Justify, the winner of the Kentucky Derby, as well as the second place horse, Good Magic. They're both going to run the Preakness. What can we do to have a better placing against those horses rather than 8th like we had in the Kentucky Derby? And I think the things that come to mind is we have to have a clean trip. We can't get stopped in the race, lose ground because we're waiting for traffic, and then have to get a late start. It's the equivalent of giving a head start to your competition in a race. You don't want to give a head start to those two, that's for sure. So, in speaking of Lone Sailor, as it relates to Mrs. Benson and the legacy of her husband, I think the important thing for me as a New Orleanian and as someone that grew up with the Saints and around the Benson team, it's if there's some way that we could give back a little bit by having a good performance in the Preakness, that would mean the world to me, and I know it would as well to my family.
And just talk about the whole experience with the Louisiana Derby. Very emotional. You nearly won it the day after Mr. Benson's funeral.
Yeah, that was something that, looking back on it now, was very special to me. I went to Mr. Benson's funeral on Friday and was really moved by all the people that were there and all the well-wishers when we left the St. Louis Cathedral that day. It was a beautiful day in New Orleans, one of those spring days that you'll never forget, and that experience is one I'll never forget. To go out the next day and almost win the Louisiana Derby, he was certainly on all of our minds, as his wife was, and Mrs. Benson sent me a very nice text that evening after the race. Very gratifying, something I'll always hold dear to my heart.
The Pelicans made a nice run.
Yeah.
The bigger juggernaut, when the Pelicans ran into the Golden State Warriors, or running Lone Sailor running into Justify.
Yeah, I think those two scenarios are very similar. You're talking about a very good athlete in Lone Sailor having to beat an exceptional athlete in Justify, as well as Good Magic, and the Pelicans had a great year, made a run in the playoffs, but they had to face basically the juggernaut of the NBA and the Golden State Warriors. So, look, we know we're up against it, but we also know we have a chance. And look for Lone Sailor to get that laid-back kind of start and come from behind and try to make a strong finish on the end. Very similar to what he did in the Louisiana Derby, and trip is everything. We need a clean trip.